Brotherly Love, Francisco X. Stork. The day I talked to my sister started out as an ordinary Sunday. Papa began yelling at us to get ready 2 hours before we needed to leave for church. I knew Rosalinda would be staying home because I had heard her battle with Papa earlier that morning. Once a month, Papa reluctantly agreed to let Rosalinda stay at home on account of problemas de mujer. Luis, let's go! I heard Papa yell all the way from his room. I covered my face with my pillow. You all right? Bernie was standing over my bed. He had a worried look on his face. He and I had shared a room since forever. You haven't been yourself lately. Is everything okay? It was hard to keep things from Bernie. He could read something wrong a mile away. And when he asked how you were, it was difficult not to spill your guts out. But there was no way I could tell him what was bothering me that particular morning. Rosalinda was the only one that could help me. I can't go to church today, I said. Why? Bernie asked. Aren't you feeling well? I just need to stay home. That's all. Bernie was thoughtful for a few seconds. And then he gave me this look as if he understood that my problem was more mental than physical. Luis, why aren't you up yet? We're late. Papa's large body seemed to fill up most of the room. He had on his shiny black suit with the usual fully starched white shirt and the blue tie with velvet stripes that our mother had picked for him when she was still alive. On Sundays, Papa always reminded me of an undertaker. Papa placed his hands on his hips, and that was the signal for me to get up. I never argued with Papa once he put his hands on his hips. Papa, Bernie said softly but firmly, I think Luis should stay home. What's the matter with him? I glanced at Bernie and then at Papa. I'm okay, I said. He's sick, Bernie said. He was up all night coughing. I could have sworn I saw Bernie wink at me. I didn't hear nothing, Papa said authoritatively. Besides, when does a little cough keep a real man from doing what he needs to do? I glanced up at Papa's face and hoped that he might be joking. But no. When it came to pronouncements on what real men do, Papa never joked. Bernie was not giving up. I don't know how he did it, but he had mysteriously figured out how important it was for me to stay home that morning. If Mama was here, she'd make him stay. I was standing up now. Bernie reached out and placed the palm of his hand on my forehead. Go ahead and touch him, he said to Papa. He's burning up. Papa lifted his hand slightly as if to touch me and then changed his mind. Both of you guys are a bunch of girls, I swear. Papa waved his hand in disgust. Go ahead and stay if you're so sick. We waited until Papa was out of the room. Thanks, I said to Bernie. Enjoy, he responded. My sister's bedroom shared a wall with my room. Her door was always closed when she was in there. I knocked timidly. I'm not going. Her voice was unwavering. It's me. Papa and Bernie left already. Please be so kind as to read the sign on the door. A do not enter sign hung in the middle of her white door. Below the yellow letters, Rosalinda had scribbled with a red marker, "Specially little geeks." That was a reference to me, her geeky little brother. Spelling was not Rosalinda's strength. Are you decent? I asked. No, I'm indecent. I need to ask you something. It's really important. There was silence on the other side. I knew that was as close to come in as I was going to get. I turned the knob and opened the door slowly. She was lying horizontally on her bed reading. The novels Rosalinda read usually had shirtless men embracing women with glassy eyes and half-open mouths, the sure look of some kind of intestinal pain. This book, however, had a familiar black cover. "You're reading the Bible?" I said in shock. Seeing a Bible in Rosalinda's hands was as unlikely as seeing Papa dancing around the house in a tutu. "Is that so astonishing?" She rested the open book on her stomach and looked at me, poised to defend herself. Rosalinda and I had constant battles over her reading choices. "Is that for school?" I already knew the answer to my question, but I needed to warm Rosalinda up with some small talk. "No, I'm reading Leviticus because I just love the way the guy writes." "Of course it's for school." "Leviticus?" "Yep. Have you read it?" "What am I saying? Of course you read it. You've read everything." "I'm familiar with it," I said with as much nonchalance as I could muster. "What class?" "World history?" Rosalinda yawned. She had her best friend, Petra, for a sleepover, and I knew for a wakeful fact that they had stayed up talking until 3:16 a.m. Leave it to Mount Carmel to use the Bible for a history book. I tried to make her laugh, or at least smile, but all I got was another yawn. "By the way, what did you say to Papa to get off from going to church?" "Cramps." "What about you?" Bernie told him I had a sore throat. "Great. You should give your sore throat a rest." She made a go-away motion with her fingers. "I need to finish this before I have to start cooking Sunday dinner. Cramps aren't going to keep me from that." She lifted the book above her face. When I didn't move, she lowered it again. "Okay, what do you want?" I sat gingerly on the edge of the bed. She eyed my movements the way a cat eyes an over-friendly dog. "I have a family question." I hope that didn't sound too anxious. She flipped quickly to her side and propped her jaw on the palm of her hand. "I guess even a question from your geeky brother is better than Leviticus." "Shoot," she said, pretending she could care less, but I detected interest. "But remember, you get what you pay for." Ha ha. "Seriously, could you do my report? It would be a piece of cake for a genius like you. All you have to do is give 4 examples of how women were treated when Leviticus was written." "You should ask Papa. He's the real Bible expert in the house." "Besides, that's so easy, even you can do that," I replied. The foot attached to her long leg reached the small of my back. Ouch! I wanted to talk to her about what was eating me, but it was hard not to jab at her. She was such an easy target. "Speak now or forever hold your peace," she commanded. "Is that peace as in Piece? It took Rosalinda a few moments to spell the word in her head. "That's hilarious." She flashed me a fake grin. "What can I tell you? I'm a moron when I'm stressed." I cleared my throat. It was time to get serious. "It's about Bernie," I managed to say. "What about him?" Her immediate and concerned response confirmed for me once and for all that Bernie was her favorite brother. Bernie was beyond reproach. She happened to be right, but it still hurt a little, the way she was always so ready to defend him. "Why do you think that he never goes out with anyone?" "I mean, all your friends are always after him. Petra has orgasmic spasms whenever he even glances in her direction, which is not often. And she's supposed to be sizzling." Okay, hold on a second. Let's go through what you said step by step. Let's analyze things, as you like to say. What do you know about orgasmic spasms?" "Everyone knows about orgasmic spasms. It's common knowledge." She lifted her eyebrows. They were stuck up there for about 10 seconds. She sighed. "You're how old? 13? 14 next month." 14 going on 40. She sighed. Okay, you don't have to get a cow over it. It's have a cow, not get a cow. And you shouldn't be quoting Bart if you never watched the show. Who's Bart? I rest my case. She sat up and scooted to the head of the bed, where she propped a pillow behind her. Why doesn't Bernie go out with anyone? She scrounged her eyebrows in my direction. I could tell that she wasn't pondering the question. She was penetrating my skull, trying to decipher the gray hieroglyphics that twisted chaotically in there. Now, why would you ask such a question? I just find it strange. He's 18, extremely handsome, has an after-school job at Papa's garage, so he has money, and I never see him go out with anybody. And that bothers you because I'm worried about him? She gave me her bull detector grin. Try again, she said. I took a deep breath. Do you think he might be? No, she cut me off. He's not. Then she rubbed her chin a la Sherlock Holmes. But it's very interesting that you should be asking me that. A gush of hot blood rushed from the tip of my toes to the top of my head. I started to get up. Wait. Sit. She waited for me to obey. I sat on the bed reluctantly. I'm going to answer your question. What question? I asked. Why Bernie doesn't go out with girls? Oh, that question. Bernie is a noble kind of guy. You mean as in he moves around a lot? What? Oh, noble. I thought you said mobile. You are such an idiot. She paused to collect herself, then continued. First of all, Bernie goes out with more girls than you know about. He just doesn't date girls from Mount Carmel. Why, you ask? Most girls at Mount Carmel are not like moi. Most of them are like Petra. You know? Beautiful, but traditional. What do you think would happen to Petra, for example, if Bernie asked her out? They'd have to call the coroner? Do you want a serious answer to your question or not? I nodded. The focus of the conversation had shifted from me to Bernie, so I was fine. Rosalinda's face was suddenly serious. The reason Bernie doesn't ask Petra out, or any one of the countless girls at Mount Carmel, is because those kind of girls want a serious relationship. And Bernie is waiting until the absolute right girl comes along. He doesn't like to date the same girl more than once or twice. If he dates a girl more than twice, that's probably the one he'll marry. Besides, he knows that if he went out with anyone from Mount Carmel, that poor girl would be a goner. Heart forever broken, not the same again. Ever. She waited a quick moment and then went on. And even if that poor girl ever managed to eventually marry someone else, she would be doing so out of a sense of hopeless resignation. You follow? It took me a few moments to fully understand what she was saying. And then I nodded. Rosalinda, for once in her life, was right. All the girls at Mount Carmel were already half in love with Bernie. If he went out with them, they would want to bear him children right there on the spot. Shoot. If he was a sheik and they were only one of 1,000 wives, they'd stand in line and take a number. I follow, I said in agreement. It was the right time, I thought, to take my inquiry one step further. It's just that there are some things about him, such as he cooks. He even bakes. He makes cupcakes with pink frosting. Rosalinda laughed. Oh, I get it. And real men don't do that, right? Not according to Papa, they don't. Real Mexican men don't cook or bake. Yeah, right. If it were up to Papa, I'd have to do all the cooking and dishwashing and cleaning around here. Thank God there's at least one person that helps me. She shot me her deadliest killer glance. By the way, who eats the cupcakes? Not all of them, I answered guiltily. Then I added, and he's always going with you to the mall to help you shop. Well, sometimes I need a man's advice. Why? Because you want to impress Manny Luongo? Manny Luongo was the quarterback at Mount Carmel. And next to my brother, the hottest guy at school. I had just the night before discovered that Rosalinda had a thing for him. How? She said, eyes narrowing. You were eavesdropping on me and Petra again, weren't you? That's not all, I said, trying to change the subject. Bernie drives a light blue Prius. So? Rosalinda asked, mystified. Papa says it's a sissy's car. Oh, here we go again. Papa, papa, papa. Do you believe everything Papa says? You think I believe everything Papa says? Or the nuns at school tell me? I'm an independent woman, buddy. You should try that kind of thinking yourself instead of accepting everything that Papa says as gospel truth. Besides, who washes that baby blue car about 20 times a week, which is almost as many times as he takes a shower? I don't like to see him drive a dirty car. It doesn't reflect well on the family. And I take lots of showers because I like to smell clean. And you use my moisturizer because... Once again, blood made its customary trip from toe to hair follicles. How did Rosalinda know? I was so careful. It's good for pimples, I mumbled. And who reads Vogue? She was looking straight at me. You do? And who else? Only when I'm in the bathroom. Ew! No wonder you spend hours in there. Have you ever seen him open that magazine? Who? Bernie. Who else are we talking about? She was annoyingly right yet again. I had never seen Bernie read Vogue. Why does he buy it then? I asked, confused. He buys it for us, for you and me. Mostly he buys it for you. I told him once I preferred Cosmo, but he said, and I quote, Luis likes the fashions in Vogue. Are you getting all this? I was stunned. I was a pretty smart guy. I never got a B in my life. I was also very perceptive. I could tell if Rosalinda was wearing a blouse from Abercrombie and Fitch or Anthropology. But it never occurred to me, never, not for one microsecond, that Bernie bought Vogue for me to read, which I did every month, religiously, from cover to cover, and not just when I was in the bathroom. I stopped. I blinked. Then I rubbed my right eye with my index finger. Rosalinda never cleaned her room, and dust was always flying everywhere. Remember when Papa found the computer open to the website on baking recipes? He was so mad at Bernie. God hates a maricon, he said, especially a Mexican one. My voice was low. I could hardly say the word. It had sounded nasty when Papa said it, but it sounded 10 times worse hearing myself say it. Rosalinda folded her legs and then crawled on her knees to where I was. Before I could do anything, she grabbed me by the shoulder and planted a big wet kiss on my cheek. Okay, I said softly, pretending to pull away. Don't get a cow. She sat on her haunches on top of the bed, not letting go of me. And what did Bernie do when Papa said that? I couldn't speak. There was a lump in my throat the size and texture of one of those Mexican limes that Bernie liked to squeeze on his chicken soup. He told him not to say that kind of stuff ever again. That it was not something Jesus Christ would ever say. That it was a bunch of mierda. And that God made all kinds of Mexican guys. She moved closer to me and sat on the edge of the bed. Have you ever, before that day, heard Bernie use that word? I shook my head. You know why he did that? I shook my head again. It was like he was defending someone, wasn't it? She was almost whispering in my ear. I nodded. He did it for you. He was defending you. You, Luis, our geeky little Mexican guy, made just right by God. The green line that had been stuck in my throat exploded, and I was suddenly crying. I buried my head in Rosalinda's chest. I don't know how long we sat there next to each other. Finally, I wiped my eyes on my arm. Rosalinda lifted a corner of her chartreuse t-shirt to dry my cheeks. Bright colors make you look fat, I said. She smiled and rubbed the back of my head. Told you I needed a guy's advice, didn't I? Now get out of here. Go to the bathroom and read your magazine. I stood up. But don't take forever, she warned. I looked at her one more time and smiled. Then I slowly walked out. I noticed as I was walking to my room that my steps were lighter, so much lighter.